Hey everyone. Hi Meter. Hi Welshbogen. Hello everyone else who's here waiting. And I don't seem to have a counter for how many people are watching today. That's odd. Monk mode need ways to reduce cortisol. Yeah, cortisol is a big one, and I'm not really going to talk about that today. But you know, get some good sleep, and that will probably help. Um, I might actually do a series of cortisol videos in the future because there's so many aspects to cortisol. It's really not simple, and there are many ways for you to get increased cortisol levels. So you can't just address it by looking at one aspect. So I'll have to think about that. I'm just going to write that down, even though I do have it on my mind and it's one of those things I want to do, but I'm kind of procrastinating a bit because it is quite complex. So even if you address one area, it's not so easy to address the problem just by doing that. I'm assuming that you can all hear me loud and clear. No, I'm asking every week and it usually works, so should be all right. And yeah, so I'm going to do this the same way as I'm always doing them. I'm going to start talking a little bit. It won't be as long as last week, I don't think, but I'm going to talk a little bit about obviously sleep deprivation and weight gain, and the focus will be on insulin, leptin, and ghrelin. Can you see us? Hi, Jimmy. Oh, yes, I see your comment, but I can't see you. But if you want to be on camera, let me know and I will invite you so we can see you. Thanks, Monk Mode. Right. So, as I said, I'm going to talk about the how lack of sleep can make us fat and sluggish, pretty much, and how it's doing that. And my focus will be on insulin, leptin, and ghrelin. And the reason that I'm doing that is because these are kind of the three big ones, if you like. And they're all important components in our metabolism. So they are all directly related to how we metabolize the energy that we are getting from food. I'm also going to tell you why our bodies are reacting the way they do, and as usual, is for a reason. And it's not like we're all broken with broken metabolisms. That's not why this is happening. It's actually for a very good reason. And yes, there are many other hormones that are affected by our sleep and that can play into fat storage, etc. But I wanted to try and keep it somewhat simple and clean, if you like, so that I'm not A, confusing you, and B, not confusing myself, because it's so easy to kind of lose the thread, if you like, and just kind of get lost in the whole thing and spin out on one thing and not actually keeping focused on the topic that I wanted to talk about. And yeah, so that's why I've chosen those three. And if you like this topic, I am happy to come back to it from a different angle in the future. So just let me know if you want to know more about sleep and hormones and that sort of thing. Then we can have a look at that later on, and I can just, zoom in on another aspect of it. That's no problem, but I want to keep it somewhat clean today. So I was actually almost going to talk about sex hormones and sleep because I find that really interesting. But I do have to admit that I don't really know enough about it to talk for a whole 20, 30 minutes, whatever, about that. So for you women out there, I just want to say if you are seeing monthly disruptions in your sleep, ability to sleep, or having disrupted sleep, you're totally normal. Don't worry. Personally, during my period, I don't sleep as well. I tend to wake up much earlier, but I'm not actually tired from doing that. And there's a reason why I'm doing it. It's not because we're all crazy women, we're just having hormonal cycles, and that's it. So, that was my somewhat not so brief introduction. So, anyway, let's get started and actually talk about what I was going to talk about. So, if you're having a look at the studies that are out there and you are looking at the studies with regards to sleep and obesity, you will find that in general, they're saying that our resting energy expenditure is decreased with about 5% when we are sleep deprived, but our postprandial, which means after we have eaten, energy expenditure is reduced by about 20% after one night missed sleep. And that is quite a lot, I think. So let's say you're eating 2,000 calories in a day, 20% of that is just calories that you're going to put on your body rather than actually burning because you didn't sleep. So that's 400 calories for you. And if you're doing this consistently over a long period of time, you're definitely going to pack on weight, or you're going to struggle to lose weight because you are just depressing your metabolism. So that's kind of interesting. So why would we do this? I will get back to that, but just to get you thinking a little bit, why are our bodies actually doing that? Because from my perspective as a modern human being, it doesn't make any sense. Why would I want to do that? It's obviously not beneficial. It will make me sick. It will make me fat, probably insulin resistant and inflamed, and so on. So it's not really good for me. Right, so I'm going to start talking about leptin a little bit. And leptin is a hormone that is produced by your fat tissue, and it will tell your body that it has enough energy so that we don't have to keep eating. So in general, the more fat tissue we have, the more leptin we produce. And the more leptin we produce, the less hungry we should be. And I say should be because what they've seen in overweight, obese, fat people is that they do produce much more leptin than a skinny person because they obviously have more fat mass. But they're usually leptin resistant, so they don't actually, their bodies don't react to this. So it doesn't work the way that it should work. So it seems like it's working up to a degree. And what I would say is that is probably where we are supposed to be as human beings and where we would have been evolutionary. And that's kind of the range where we keep responding. But when you're abusing your body all year round, year after year after year, we're going to get a totally different response. So what it does is that leptin triggers a lot of different messages, if you like, or hormones and signals that goes up to your hypothalamus in your brain. And a lot of those signals will be translated and turned into other signals that goes down to your thyroid. And you know, hopefully you know that your thyroid is the major gland that is actually kind of controlling your metabolism, your body temperature, all those kind of things. So what it will do is that it will down regulate your energy metabolism. So it will change the hormonal response in your thyroid to make sure that we are conserving energy if you're not getting enough of it. So when you sleep, leptin actually increases, and it will obviously let your body know that you don't actually have to eat now. We have enough energy for what we need right now. Because after all, when you're sleeping, you're not actually consuming a lot of energy. I say that, but when you're actually in REM sleep, you do consume a lot of energy. But that is usually coming later in the night towards the morning before you're waking up. So when you're sleeping, it's kind of like a way for your body to just increase your leptin levels and get that whole homeostasis balanced, if you like, when you're not putting in a lot of food or doing other things to abuse it. So let me just share with you to make this a bit more visible for you. Let's see. So I just put this together. So when we are sleep deprived, we will have low leptin levels. Okay. And those low leptin levels, I'm going to move some stuff here, will obviously lead to increased hunger and then increased fat storage. So that's basically what is happening if you're struggling to follow. So when you don't get enough sleep, you become leptin deficient. And if I may use that term, because there is no term that is actually, we can't be leptin deficient, but we can have too little leptin. And your brain is going to think that there is a shortage of energy. So this would basically make you hungry, and even if you don't need food at that time. Plus, it will increase fat storage once you eat. So chronic sleep deprivation can lead to chronic low levels of leptin, and that will lead to chronic hunger and a chronic slowing down of your metabolism with increased fat storage as a result. So that was leptin. And then we have something called ghrelin, and I'm just going to swap to the next one. Ghrelin is pretty much the opposite of leptin. So it does the opposite thing, not in a sense just with regards to hunger. So ghrelin is a hormone that is generally produced when your stomach is empty. So when your stomach is empty, your stomach will signal to your brain via ghrelin that it is hungry. So if you're filling your stomach up, you could literally fill it with anything, you will dull that signal. So when you sleep, ghrelin decreases because you don't need energy when you sleep. So it's the same thing, but the opposite way of leptin. So if you don't sleep enough, your body won't have time to decrease your ghrelin levels, and you will end up with too much ghrelin in your system. So basically what is happening when you're sleeping, you will get decreased ghrelin levels. So that will, over time, if you're not doing it, your body won't have, if you're sleeping to, let's say, 4 or 5 hours every night, you won't have time to decrease the ghrelin levels as much as you would like them to decrease. So they will be chronically high, and therefore will make you more hungry. And if you ever heard that protein will make you feel full much longer than any other macronutrient, ghrelin is one of the big reasons for this, because somehow protein tends to lower ghrelin much more than other micronutrients actually do. So let me get away from that now. I think you got the point. I want to find my screen back so I can watch myself, because that's very interesting. Okay, so that was leptin and that was ghrelin. It's kind of straightforward. We know which one's doing what. They are the opposites, or in terms of their levels, but they both control hunger and appetite. So last but not least, let's go back to our favorite, insulin. And as you probably already know, because I have mentioned it before, if you haven't watched my very recent video on intermittent fasting, or what you should know before that, I'm kind of talking a little bit about this and the circadian rhythm involved with insulin, etc. So a lack of sleep or poor sleep significantly increases your risk for type 2 diabetes. So it's not a coincidence that obesity, diabetes, sleep deprivation usually go hand in hand, and they're almost always present in a person suffering from diabetes type 2. Is very, very common. And especially deep sleep seems to be very important for our ability to use insulin to regulate blood glucose, which actually means that we are insulin sensitive. So if we have good insulin sensitivity, that usually means that we have good deep sleep, or rather the opposite. If we don't have good deep sleep, we're usually insulin insensitive. So insulin is just like many other hormones in our bodies, which I think we tend to not really talk about it or think too much about it, and kind of almost being swept under the carpet because we are so focused on nutrition and exercise, but we don't really think about the rest. And we don't really think about what time of the day we're doing things. So insulin is one of those hormones that operates in accordance with the circadian rhythm. And the production and release of insulin from your pancreas or your beta cells is somewhat affected by the circadian rhythm. It's not just what you're eating and when you're eating that is doing that. Plus, our cells seem to be more or less insulin sensitive depending on the time of the day. So this is also something I brought up in that video a little bit. So when we are disrupting our circadian rhythm, which, by the way, goes hand in hand with sleep problems, we can, over time, reduce the effectiveness of insulin and cause insulin resistance. So sleep might be a really, really big thing when it comes to developing insulin resistance and type 2 diabetes. But we're not talking about it. So the things that can disrupt your circadian rhythm could be things like irregular sleep patterns, and that could be, shift work. If you are a new parent and you have a little baby that is waking you up at night, or if you have bloody dogs like I do that tend to get into season and then want to play games all night long, you're going to be having a lot of interrupted sleep, which obviously isn't great. It could be the sleep quality, and that is often due to external sources like junk light, like blue light in the evenings, caffeine, for example, which if you drink it too late in the day, it will, even if you can sleep, it will affect the sleep quality. So just think about that. Alcohol, it will, same thing, that will make you fall asleep easier, maybe, but the quality of sleep is really, really not good. You will be in a light sleep stage pretty much all night. I have noticed that. I mean, I don't really drink, but if I drink, I never, ever, ever sleep well, ever. And I feel terrible from a lack of sleep, although I've never actually had a hangover, which is quite funny. And then there is this aspect of too much or too little sleep. Both of them can actually impair your metabolism negatively. Now, there isn't a lot of research on people who sleep too much. I have my own theory about that, and that is that people who sleep a lot are generally not healthy people to start with. They probably already have a lot of inflammation, or they might have some sort of autoimmune disease or something going on that actually makes them sleep that much. And I'm not talking about teenagers now because they always sleep a lot, but I'm talking about grown-up people. And then obviously if you have a sleep disorder like insomnia or sleep apnea or something like that, that is obviously also contributing to disrupted sleep. So that will also be a problem. I'm losing my voice. I need a little bit of water. You have to excuse me for a second. And then there's this another thing I want to mention as well, that sleep deprivation on its own actually causes stress on your pancreatic cells or on the beta cells, which is the cells in your pancreas that produce insulin. So this could, in the best case scenario, just lead to an inefficient production of insulin, which means that it might be not producing enough insulin. Also, that it's misfolding the proteins, which means that the protein or the insulin, which is a polypeptide, comes out and it's not functional because it's not been processed correctly, basically. That's the best case scenario. The worst case scenario is that when a cell is stressed, it will undergo apoptosis, which basically is cellular suicide. So they will die. And then you're losing all function of that cell. And that obviously can lead to diabetes down the line. And I'm talking about diabetes type 1 now. Although usually the case isn't, unless you have an autoimmune disease that is actually killing all of them, you probably won't be, diagnosed as type 1 diabetic, but you really do want an efficient pancreas, don't you? You don't want to have 70% of your function of your pancreas left, because that is going to put all those cells under a lot of stress every time you need to produce insulin. So in either way, it's not a good idea to do. It's not beneficial to you or anyone else. So also, sleep deprivation increases the production of cortisol. So I just wanted to mention this briefly, since we had a little bit of a discussion about that earlier. And that in itself will make your cells more resistant to insulin. Now, I'm not going to go into cortisol at all, but I just wanted to say that if you are very stressed, if you know that you have high cortisol levels, it will make your cells more insulin resistant. So try and get your rest. So I was going to talk about why we're doing this, and evolutionary, it all makes sense, and it has like everything that our bodies do, it has had some sort of advantage evolutionary. It has increased our survival in some sort of way. It's never that we are selecting for traits that don't help us survive. So just think about in winter, what is happening. The days are getting much shorter than they are in summer, and it's much harder to find food, generally. But in summer, there's plenty of food. You have both animals that you can hunt, you have plants and fruits and nuts that you can forage. There are all sorts of things that you could go and eat. And also in summer, the nights tend to be a lot shorter, so we are more likely to get less sleep, because we don't tend to sleep when it's light outside. And that is because we need melatonin to be sleepy and sleep, etc. as well. And that is induced by the darkness. So what happens is that it basically, if we sleep less, and this results in increased hunger, when there is plenty of food around, and we store this food better, as in increased fat storage, we are able to put on some weight and just get fatter, and then we can survive winter. It's brilliant. This is a way for our bodies to store the energy that we can find. If we are getting hungrier, we will be able to eat more of these foods, so we can pack on more for winter. If we didn't do this and there was a shortage of food during winter, we might not survive. So once winter is here, we sleep a lot more. Leptin and ghrelin and insulin, to some degree, do a 180-degree turnaround, and they start telling our bodies that it's time to use those fat storages. So we could use them to fuel our bodies, so that we are still able, obviously, to go out and hunt and search for food. But since we are not finding that much, we're probably using a lot of our fat stores, and whatever we find, we will use to fuel ourselves as well. And then when spring comes, we're probably quite lean again. So, girls and boys, haha. That was pretty much what I wanted to say about that. It was a little bit shorter than usual. It wasn't as short as I thought it would be. But I hope that you found that somewhat useful and at least a bit informative, and that maybe it gets you thinking about, prioritizing your sleep a bit better, especially if you are having stubborn weight or you're having a problem with insulin resistance that doesn't go away even though you're eating right, etc. So now bring your questions, and I'm going to be scrolling back through this chat to see if I can find some questions to answer. Cool. Kate says, I generally sleep 9 hours a night, on carnivore 7 to 8, the weight staying the same. Okay. So when I was in my 20s, I could sleep 8-9 hours. Now I'm down to 6-7. I'm struggling to get up to 8, unfortunately, but it might be good. Let's see. Okay. Hi, Irma. How are you? Six to 8 hours fasted, forcing that insulin down. Yes, that will definitely do it. So this is the thing. I mean, we're just mimicking what would happen in nature, and you know, fasting might have been much more prevalent in winter. Maybe I don't know. I'm just guessing now. Maybe fasting in winter is more effective than fasting in summer, or maybe it's just more or easier to do in winter because it feels more natural. I don't know. Monkmud, you probably, I mean, you have a lot of experience and knowledge about fasting. So if you have actually noticed anything, any correlation between when people tend to do better with fasting and not, let me know. It's quite interesting. Okay, Stefan, what is a good amount of sleep? That is that's really, really hard to answer. So it's better to ask, what is a good amount of quality sleep? Because if you are getting enough deep sleep and enough REM sleep, you're probably good to go. And that could happen in, let's say, 5 to 6 hours. Generally, REM sleep tends to happen later in the day or during your sleep cycle. So if you're cutting it too short, you might get your deep sleep, but you might not get your REM sleep. What I've noticed for myself is that I'm always short on REM sleep. Not so much on the deep sleep, but pretty much on the REM sleep. But for me, it doesn't tend to it comes a little bit later, but not that late. So I'm going to have to tinker around with that and see if there's a way for me to increase that, because that's also important. But if you're sleeping less than 6 hours, I would say you're probably going to be sleep deprived, or, you're missing out on the type of sleep that you probably need. But it's also very, very individual. And there is a guy, can't remember what it's called, Bruce Lipton? No, I'm not sure. Bruce something, I think. The sleep doctor, I think he calls himself. He's talking about having a chronotype so that you might be, most people are bears and they like to sleep between certain hours. I can't remember what it is. If it's from, like, let's say 10, 11 p.m. until 7, 8 in the morning or something like that. And if they are forced to be early birds, or they can adapt to it, but they won't do as well, and the quality of sleep won't be as good. So that might be something that you want to have a look at. Yes, so you say that you usually get 8 hours. If you get 8 hours, you need it. You're feeling good and you're waking up on your own, and then you don't have any problems falling asleep in the next evening, and you just kind of keep a regular pattern, you're probably pretty good with that, I would say. Me too. I seem to sleep in 3 to 4 hour stretches plus an afternoon nap often. Okay. So a sleep cycle for an average adult human is around 90 minutes, I think. So it might be that you are having 2 sleep cycles, and then you are up to very light sleep. You wake up in between, and then you might have another 2 sleep cycles. Afternoon naps are fine. Insomnia since I was a child, very frustrating. I hear you. I have been there when I was in my early 20s. I went to my doctor, I was asking for sleeping pills basically. They gave me some stupid things that just made me feel really groggy in the morning, but didn't put me to sleep at all. Eventually, they actually gave me Rohypnol, and I've never slept so good in my life. That was the shit. I loved it, but then my doctor quit, and I couldn't be bothered to go through the process and try to get them again. But if I was ever, experiencing massive sleep problems again, that's where I would go. But for those of you who know me, I've been talking about this many times. Most of you might not need something heavy as that, but my body seems to be very efficient at metabolizing all sorts of medications and probably toxins and everything. So I'm very resistant to all sorts of medications. I need quite a lot. Mm. Listening to vegans can send anyone to sleep. So yeah, you just, put your headphones on and go listening to some vegan propaganda. Hi, Mandy. I hope you are okay today. And let me know how it's going, because I know that you and Necrokitty were talking amongst yourselves. And if you've seen some improvement, give me some updates. So, Stefan, you're pre-diabetic. Okay. So what have you done about that? There are a few things that you can do. Obviously, you are getting your sleep, and it looks like you're probably getting enough sleep. Since you are listening to these sort of YouTube channels, I'm assuming that you are a fairly strict carnivore or very low carb at least. So that's a good thing. Exercise is always a good idea. High intensity, not too much duration is probably a better one. And also, have you gone back and have your doctor have a look at that again? Do you know if it's changed? Let us know. We're interested in seeing what results people are getting and how things are improving and what's happening. Julie B, great topic. Gave up my mattress for floor sleeping. Well, a yoga mat has helped my sleep. Holy crap. I'm not sure. I mean, I like I like quite a firm mattress, but sleeping on the floor. When I was younger, I was always sleeping on my belly, and I would be very comfortable actually doing that on the floor. But nowadays, my neck is too stiff to actually lay like that comfortably. It just starts hurting. So now I'm sleeping on my side, and sleeping on the floor, that would just really hurt my shoulder, I think. So Bart says, I got no notification and YouTube doesn't even indicate you are live now. Okay. Bad in YouTube. That's why there are only like 20 people here. By the way, have all of you actually given my video a thumbs up? If you haven't, do that, because that is pretty cool. YouTube is terrible at time. Or if you have a bad ball, man. Yeah, it's probably Bart's fault. They flagged it. So Julie says, yeah, I asked to be updated when she went live, never got the update, just checked on my own and it was live. Okay, so that's interesting. I don't know if this is because I'm streaming through StreamYards and there might be a problem to connect through there and get the notifications. So if you do, I've done that the last 3 or 4 weeks at least. So have you guys got any notifications at all during that time, or let me know. So no hair. Okay, good. I do have hair. It's falling off at a rapid pace, though. I've been doing that since for 25 years or so, and I still have a lot of hair. Oh, missed the first 9 minutes. So what you need to know is that it's 9:34 a.m. here in New Zealand. I am always going live at 9 a.m. If you don't want to miss it, just put it on your calendar and you know that I will be there. Unless I say that I won't. Which hasn't happened yet, but I wasn't entirely sure I would be here today because tomorrow, Monday morning, we are traveling down to Greymouth to do some work on our house down there so that we can get some tenants in there. So I was maybe not going to be here this week, but 24 of you watching now, so that thank you for watching and being here. Meter, I'm thinking of trying sleeping on my thick exercise mat to try and get that herniated lower disc. Wow. Yep. I mean, I've heard a lot about people solving back problems by basically sleeping on the floor, so it's probably not a myth. It's probably good for your back, but I'm thinking about my shoulders. Julie says, give it a try. I am on the floor over 2 years, broke my neck a while back, and have a bunch of plates and screws. I do still use a pillow. Oh my god, I should have shown you my pillow. I got such an awesome pillow, but it's in the bedroom. Maybe if Bart is still watching, he can go and fetch the pillow for me. I just have to show it to you because it's bloody awesome. And it actually helps when you are sleeping on your side. I think he's watching because I can hear him moving. That pillow is just like the shit. Okay. Meter. Okay, here comes the pillow. Thank you. So here's my pillow. It's super awesome. It's very wide. So it's kind of like longer on one side. So and it actually has, you can't see it here because of the light, but there. So it has a hole here for your ear. So you can just lay with it here. Your shoulder fits perfectly in here. And then you can basically lay like that and you can hug your pillow. It's so bloody comfortable. If you don't have one, you have to get one of those. I love it. So if I was sleeping on the floor, I would definitely use that one. I don't tend to do well with it if I'm sleeping on my back though, because my head just ends up like that and I get a really stiff neck. But for when you're laying on your side, it's really, really good. Anyway, Mita said, that's encouraging. Thanks. Do you use rolled up towels for waist and legs? I'm guessing you mainly sleep on your back. If not. Okay, sorry, I'm just reading these comments because I find it interesting and it might help someone else, even though you might have just gone through the chat yourselves, but in case you haven't. Julie, back or sometimes my side, sometimes use an extra pillow for legs. Warning that the first 2 weeks of it really sucks and I almost gave up. Good since then. Okay, that's good. Now the chat is jumping. Mandy says, sleep is massive. I suffered years with stress, lack of sleep, sent me loopy mental crash, and everything you saying X ended up with a breakdown, many knock-on effects. Okay. Yeah. The thing with sleep is that when we're sleeping, there's so much more going on. So you have basically cellular repair is happening when you're sleeping. So that's another aspect of it. If you're not sleeping enough, you're not going to be able to clear out your cells properly. You're going to be sluggish. You're not going to clear things like your brain and amyloid plaques, etc. They can build up if you don't get enough sleep. So that's related to Alzheimer's, and there are all sorts of things happening when you're sleeping. And the same thing if if you're serious about gaining some muscle. When are your muscles actually growing? They're growing when you're sleeping, mainly when they're resting. There's all sorts of hormonal responses going on then. So sleep is just so important for everything. Okay. Girls and boys. No, that's my phrase, not boys and girls. Yes, I said it already, but if you haven't liked the video or the live stream, do it now. Okay, so thoughts on melatonin for assisting with insomnia longer term. Okay, yes. So my take on melatonin is that if you're taking it for insomnia, take it in a physiological dose. The supplements that they sell are usually like, are they a milligram or something? Let me have a look, just to be sure. Okay, so you have 5 milligram tablets. So you can probably get something like 1 milligram if you are looking. However, I'm just trying to find something very low. So I can't find anything that is 1 milligram. But anyway, a physiological dose of melatonin. What I mean with that is that when your body is producing melatonin in the evening to make you sleepy and help you sleep, it's probably something like 0.3 or something like that, 0.2 milligrams. And there aren't really many supplements around that sell that dose. So if you could get, something like 1 milligram, you could just split the tablet in two and you will get half a milligram. So that is still more than a normal physiological dose, but that would be fairly easy maybe to kind of dose in the evening. Because when you're taking huge amounts, first of all, you might start turning off your own melatonin production. Since it's not a physiological dose, other things could be affected by that as well. So there is some research done that actually says that high doses of melatonin is anti-inflammatory, but I wouldn't do that long term. If you want to try that and do that as an experiment, a short-term experiment, go ahead, do that. But I would, if you're doing it long term, as what you're actually asking for, I would just go low on the dosage. So even if you get a 5 milligram, it's, you have to split that in 10 at least. So that's not going to be really great for you. There might be other, sleep supplements that have other ingredients like GABA and maybe magnesium. I don't even know what they put in them. And that actually has a very low dose of melatonin in them. So just go and have a little look at what you can find if you want to do that and try to go as low as possible. Gremlins, bad. Gremlins are very cute. Okay, Meter. I've heard sleep described as a backwash flush for brain plaque. Is that a scientifically accurate way of describing it? Well, yes, I suppose. That's the only time your brain is actually cleaning out itself. So, yeah, I suppose so. It's absolutely necessary. If you don't sleep, that is not going to happen. Yes, Irma, yes, it is. I've only had it for like a month plus a little bit, I think, or minus, maybe 3 weeks. I don't even know. So I will let you know when I can give you more data. What I can tell you is that I know now when I'm sleeping, when I'm actually getting decent sleep. And what annoys me is that every time I tend to have a longer sleep and I feel like, yeah, I had a long night's sleep when I'm getting, 7.5 hours, which is long for me. My sleep quality tends to go down. And one time I just had 5 hours because I couldn't sleep in the evening. And normally I would have been annoyed that I didn't get enough sleep. And it just turns out that 1.5 of those hours were deep sleep. So, as I said, I'm constantly deprived of my REM sleep, but at least I got the deep sleep. So maybe I'm not as tired, and I actually wasn't that day anyway. So I'm still kind of monitoring and seeing how things are working and whether I can tell when I've had enough deep sleep and REM sleep and how I feel, etc. So it's kind of a interesting research project for me. Monk mode. During the prolonged fasts, cortisol and epinephrine rise, disrupting sleep. Yeah. Personally, I found myself sleeping less during a fast, but still awake enough during the day. Yeah. I mean, there's a reason for that as well. When you're not eating, there is an emergency going on and you need energy so that you can go out and hunt down that food that you need. If we were just, so when we are eating a low calorie diet, for example, we are still getting food. And our bodies can, if we are reducing our energy expenditure, survive on that low calorie diet. And that is why our metabolism goes down when we're eating a low calorie diet. And it adjusts to that because it wants to maintain homeostasis. It doesn't want us to use more energy than we're eating. But when we're fasting, it's different because this is an emergency. You're not getting anything. So there's no point in reducing your energy expenditure. Rather, it might rev up and actually burn more energy in order for you to be able to go and find that food. Okay? So that's why it's so much more efficient to do some intermittent fasting or, up to 3 days, or, even longer if you want, but that sort of thing, than it is going on a constant low calorie diet. So if you were eating 15,000 calories in a week and you're eating them over 4 days, you're going to get a totally different hormonal response rather than if you're eating them over 7 days. Actually, that wasn't a low calorie diet necessarily, but you get the point. The hormonal response that you're getting from eating the same thing every day as opposed to, feast and famine is so different and just affects you in such, I mean, it's like night and day. So that's why I'm a fan of fasting and OMAD and all those sort of things, because it's kind of keeping your system going. And for me, I'm always pretty cold. So I kind of want to rev up my own production of heat, etc., if I can. And a low calorie diet is not the way of doing that, because that is one of the things that will happen very early on, is that your body will just shut down a bit and go on an energy sparing mode, basically. Insomnia can be viewed as an opportunity, sometimes, as long as it's not all the time. Sometimes seeing it as a major problem can accept. Yeah, okay. If you are trying to sleep and you can't sleep, and you're just laying there thinking about it and it makes you really anxious, you're not going to be able to sleep. So just, take it for what it is. If you really can't sleep, then, just follow all of those advice that, that's out there. Go up, do something else. I would recommend that you don't do something in front of a screen, and you try to keep the light down so that you don't disrupt your melatonin production. Or if you're having like glasses, like some blue blockers, put them on. So the worst thing you can do is, getting in front of a computer or something. That's definitely going to wake you up. Luke didn't get a notification again. I don't think anyone got a notification today, unfortunately. So that's, oh yeah, okay. So Meter did get a notification, just to let me know. Thanks. So that's very strange, because the majority of people here didn't seem to get a notification. So I know that, Luke, I think you said that you actually have pressed the bell, but if you are not getting notifications and you haven't pressed the bell, please do so. Then you should get a notification. So this is very, very strange. Yay, 25 watching, 25 likes. Thanks, guys. I appreciate that. Okay, so you got a notification as well. Okay, so some people seem to get it, some people don't. I don't really know why that is. Patricia, if I'm watching on the countdown screen, it won't start the stream until I close and reopen YouTube. Okay. Can't help you with that. That's strange. And by the way, where's Wayne? I haven't seen Wayne. Maybe he got pissed off because Osma was first. Okay, so that seems to be an ongoing problem, that you have to close it and reopen it. That's a little bit annoying. Pim, that pillow is awesome. I might need to upgrade. Yeah, it is. I haven't had it for that long, maybe a week, but I really enjoyed it. Apart from that one night where I actually slept on my back on it, and I just woke up and I had such a neck pain. So now, if I'm kind of aware that I moved over to my back and I'm laying funnily, I just grab my other pillow, which is like a tempered pillow, which is really nice when I'm sleeping on my back. Harry, morning Pim. The YouTube notifications are erratic, but my excuse is that I went to bed at 1 a.m. and got up late. It's 7:35 a.m. in Hobart. If I'm still half asleep, nice pillow. Yes, Harry, why are you sleeping so late? Maybe that's not ideal for you. Maybe you're gonna get fat now. Pim, did a stalker just break in and throw you at that pillow? Yes, the stalker did. Luke, you have to discover the specific type of stretching for the tension you feel. One day I tried to pull my elbows inwards while forcing them outwards. You release tension. Um, do you mean like that? That's I do feel that in my rotator cuff. I'm not really sure. Yes, Luke, if you want to come to New Zealand and you want to give me a good stretching, you're more than welcome. That would be super cool if someone would stretch me out. Um, I used to go to, we have something in Sweden called, I can't really remember what they're called. They're like physiotherapists, but they're not physiotherapists. They are um, specialized at doing body manipulation and stuff. And they used to try and stretch my neck, and that my neck muscles are actually really long, but I'm still really stiff around the area. So that was a bit frustrating. So they just used to crack me a lot. Don't know if that helped at all. Probably not, unfortunately. Oh my god. 10 milligram pills or more, I tend to try breaking them up into quarters at least. Yeah, so, even a quarter is 2.5 milligrams. It's still a tenth more than a physiological dose. So, if you can find something smaller, try to do that. You can also buy melatonin drops, but I think each drop is probably a bit too strong. Shell, hello Pim, sorry that I'm late. I had guests drop by. That's all right, Shell. At least it wasn't YouTube's fault. Uh, okay, I like natural sources of tryptophan for sleep difficulties. Okay, um, so you're talking about eating meat, basically, I guess. As I say, I'm very resistant to all those sort of things, so I'm not sure they do a lot for me. I have been experimenting a little bit with GABA, but I'm not sure I'm seeing anything, so I might have to increase the dose and see if that helps. I'm gonna be a GABA junkie. I heard the higher doses to compensate for what gets destroyed by the stomach environment. Yeah, might be. Still, I'm not convinced that we should be taking that high, 5 milligrams or 10 milligrams or whatever. It's still very, very high. So, I don't have a figure for how much your stomach is actually breaking down and how well it's absorbed, but I do think that it's still overboard. So might have to get back to you and do a melatonin video or something. Do you think the 5-HTP and things like it are a risky strategy in that they could be side effects plus a level of dependence may arise? Um, I don't think so. No, I don't think so personally. Um, I haven't really heard about anyone getting dependent on 5-HTP, to be honest. It's just an amino acid. Uh, if you stop taking it and you actually slept well on it, you stop taking it and you don't sleep well again, are you going to blame it for not being able to sleep well when you took it in the first place for not being able to sleep well? I don't know. I kind of doubt that you can get dependent on an amino acid like that. Obviously, if you remove it and you're getting the problem that you had in the first place, it's not going to be because you've been taking it. It's going to be because there was a problem in the first place. Having said that, a lot of the time, it might be that you are actually deficient in these brain chemicals or amino acids that create the brain chemicals. And over time, you might be able to supplement up to a normal level. And then they will stop working for you. But then you might not need them if that was the only problem. So, nah, I don't really buy that that is a risky strategy when it comes to 5-HTP, etc. Some people might not be able to metabolize these things properly, then sure, for those people. But in general, nah. Is there anything in the old wives' tale about hot milk for sleep? Yes, there is, and I can't remember what it is. I'm wondering, it's probably... No, I can't remember. I know I was reading about that ages ago, and I was like, oh, okay. Could be tryptophan as well. Stefan, I'm sorry. I can't give you a proper answer. So if someone actually knows, let me know and remind me. You're watching 2 streams. How are you listening to 2 streams? Shall I stop taking melatonin tabs? They will keep you up after a while. Plus, you want your body to make its own. Yeah. Okay. Ace. Hi, girls and boys. Good girl. Or whatever. I don't care if you're a girl or a boy. As long as you say girls and boys. Any tips on sleeping on planes? I've got another trip from UK to Australia in a couple of weeks. I only ever get a couple of hours sleep. I'm also doing the no sugar challenge, so I think I will have to fast. Yeah, okay. Yes. So what I tried to do when I flew over to New Zealand last time is I actually made myself like trying to shift my sleep before going to some degree in the right direction. So I can't even remember which way I shifted it in, but just like move if you're working, it might not work, but you can try to go to bed earlier or later, whichever way you need to shift it, and kind of start getting it closer to the sleep pattern you would have in Australia, so that you are getting tired at the right time. And what you're saying that you think you will have to fast. Fasting is a really, really good way of traveling if you want to avoid getting jet lag. Because when you're eating, you're pretty much telling your body that it's a certain time of the day, because you're not meant to eat during the night when you're sleeping. So if it's night in Australia and you're meant to be sleeping, don't bloody eat on the plane. Just say no, thank you. Have some water if you want to, and just avoid that. Obviously, you can use. I mean, I'm not sleeping well on planes. I easily feel very uncomfortable, and I'm very sensitive to sounds and light and everything. So get a good sleep mask if you can. Get some earplugs. Cover your body, because we have photoreceptors all over our bodies, not just in our eyes. So it will affect your body. And try to keep that sleep pattern that you have started having. Because when you leave the UK, you're pretty much going to be treated on the plane according to UK hours. You're going to get fed according to what the hours they are. And then I assume that you're going to change plane somewhere, and then they're going to feed you again. at different hours, and it's just a total mess. It's not a very good idea. So if you can fast the whole way or just eat whenever it would actually be, lunch or dinner time, wherever in Australia, then do that. Okay, never mind. That was. Does Spot have a pillow like that too? Nope, he does not. He doesn't even want to try my pillow. He has the best pillow pin. No, that's my pillow. He was just looking strangely at it, like, what the fuck is that? Harry. Best side effects: free melatonin. Alternatives are sleep masks, blue blocking glasses, sleep aiding supplements like theanine and magnesium, and amines like glycine, tryptophan, and theanine. Yes, so yeah, you could obviously bring some blue blocker glasses to the plane as well. Yay, Shelly got a notification. You got one. I use a book light and do math puzzles in bed when I can't sleep. Okay, a problem with a book light is that it's full of blue light, so that's not ideal. Could you swap the light bulb to something more like a red light or something that still lets you actually see something but not being that bright? That'd probably be better. Dragonfire got notified. Awesome. Me too. Yes, I'm with the lion. I work better empty. Once I've eaten, I'm pretty much done for the rest of the day, and I will look for a rock to bask on. That's bed this time of year in Wales. Good stuff. Yeah. Yeah, Flux install on computer helps, but no blue-green light is optimal. I use a red light and red paperback books. Cool. Yeah, I have Flux as well, and on my phone I can't remember where you find the settings, but if you just Google it, you can pretty much put in that you don't want any blue light on your screen, and it will be very red or yellow, something like that. Works pretty well, but I still wouldn't. The thing with phones and other things, ideally, you really shouldn't be doing it, because when you are doing something on them, you're kind of activating your brain. And if you're doing math puzzles, you're definitely activating your brain, and that would kind of make you a bit more alert. What I find better for me is if you were watching YouTube, for example, or even better, listening to YouTube or an audiobook or something like that, it's much easier for your brain to just relax, and eventually, hopefully, you will just zoom out and fall asleep. It's funny, remember I belled your channel weeks ago? Yes, mentioned it on Bart's channel. I came today just to check randomly unbelled. Okay. That's really strange. You better bell it again then. Yes, I agree, Flux is good. Thomas, upper left-hand side of the screen is a semicircle with an arrow. That is a refresh. Click that instead of closing and reopening the video. Hi, Pim. Hi. Yep, that should work. So the opposite of the movement I showed, but you got the idea, right? So, okay, so that way. The other arm pulls elbow inwards. Well, I couldn't actually reach with my other arm. My shoulders are not flexible enough for that. I do have a pull-up bar at home now, so I can do some hanging on that, which I'm terrible at because it really hurts my hands, so it will take some getting used to actually hanging. I've heard a lot of people have cured shoulder problems with that. I don't have shoulder problems, but I do have very inflexible shoulders, unfortunately. Monk mode. Benzodiazepines, GABA reuptake inhibitors, beware of tolerance addiction. Okay. I am. Yeah, okay. Sure. If you're overdosing, doing it long term. Yeah. And Shell agrees. Not sure. A few types of what for anti-anxiety? I don't know. I missed. Yes, I suspect the hot milk with honey thing is just postprandial somnolescence. Um, yeah, if it's honey in, honey can actually help you sleep, and also sugar can help with amino acid uptake, which might be something that you are struggling with a little bit. If you can't get the amino acids into your brain and turn into different brain chemicals, or some amino acid are brain chemicals, then obviously you're not going to get any effect from them. So that could help. Also, if you are someone who's struggling with blood sugar control, the honey can actually help just by getting your blood sugar up to where it should be. So for some people, if you're kind of struggling with low blood sugar, that is kind of a stress signal that would kind of keep you awake, and that's one of the reasons that a little bit of honey, and I'm not talking like a tablespoon, we're talking maybe a teaspoon, something like that. Osma, reindeer mince and fat and all that good stuff before Bart's stream begins. Listening still to No Worries Pim. Yeah, you better. I need about 720 hours still, so keep watching. I need 720 of you to have been watching this today, and it's just 30 of you here. Oh well. When you fast, you don't have to use the abysmal airport public bathrooms too. No, that is true. I think most, at least most large airport toilets nowadays, they do have quite a rigorous cleaning schedule, so they're usually not too bad, I don't think. It may be just the lactose in the hot milk. Sometimes it will take a couple of spoonfuls of quality honey to boost serotonin if sleep is difficult. Usually back to good sleep within 13 minutes. 30, sorry. Yeah, okay, cool. Yeah, fast on the flight, eat breakfast when you arrive at local morning. If you arrive in the morning, that is. Luke, that explains why I got so used to sleeping in my home's totally sealed dark room. It's pitch black, so I can't fall asleep with any light now. Yeah, I'm a little bit the same. It's almost like when there is light outside, like coming through the curtains, or even from the bloody router in the hallway outside the bedroom, it's like my eyes just want to be open, and like there's light. I can't sleep. So I think it's probably a combination of a psychological thing, and I don't know if it's physiological as well. Yeah, milk for sleep, tryptophan, plus for flying fast, and eat at the right time at your destination with the circadian rhythm of your destination to resync your melanopsin. Mm-hmm. Yeah, there we go. Aha, okay. So he has the best pillow. I'm his pillow. Are you saying I'm fat? Only fat people are good pillows, right? Full spectrum, yeah, not ideal. F-flux and blue blocking glasses as well, yeah. Excellent. I actually love to hang and bought a door pull up bar to heal my impingement. Worked. My hands are bulletproofed from calisthenics, so I can hang 100 plus seconds. The thing is, when I used to do Olympic weightlifting, it took me months, but once I got those calluses on my hands, I felt so much better. And I was always curious about how I would do if I started doing, climbing or something like that, because that always kills my hands. So, yeah, I've lost that obviously, but I wish that I could get my lovely calluses back so that they can protect my hands. I listen to Bart live to sleep too. Works a charm. Schooling while drawing, I call it. Is he that boring? It's always those wee hours here, though. Yeah. That's why I snitched the spot 2 hours before that, so that you guys are still awake, and maybe the UK people as well. Qatar airport missed toilet cleaning training you just described. I guarantee that. Okay. I haven't been there ever, so I don't know. Oh. I did not imply such a thing. Well, now you said it. I said it. Is he not? Okay. Better not be. Then I'll have to go and throw a pillow at him during the live stream. Look, yeah, I need to strengthen my finger joints and straight finger strength. Some manual labor if intensely hurt after some time. What's that about? Are you a climber, or why are you doing that? Finger strength. Shell. Pim, ever get an earworm? Oh my god, if I get a song stuck in my head, I cannot sleep for shit. Yeah, that is annoying. And there's one song particularly that tends to get stuck in my head every time I hear it. And Mr. Bartke, the nutrition science watchdog, knows exactly what song that is and likes to annoy me with it. Yeah, not great. Not great at all. So Bart says that my subs are the most cheeky ones. I think that's unfair. I think it was me that hinted at you being boring rather than they. My subs are great. Yours suck. Apart from the ones that are subbed here too. Yes, pillow fight. Well, the thing is that it won't really be a pillow fight. It would be more of a pillow attack if he's live, because he can't really fight back, I don't think. Yes, go and play some 12 string that works. Okay, so we seem to be running out of questions today, and after just an hour and 12 minutes. I don't know what's happened, but usually you guys are going on for like 2 hours. I know I was talking a bit shorter today as well, but if you have any more questions, if you want to discuss anything else, or give some sleep tips for other people or what you've experienced, have you all of a sudden changed your sleep schedule and the weight has come off or something interesting like that, then let us know, because it's always interesting to know what's actually happening in the real life and not just in the literature, because in the end of the day, what works in theory doesn't work for everyone, and not for everyone at all the time, or it might change. Whatever works for me today might not work for me in 5 years' time. This week's earworm is by Lizzo. Great song, but a definite earworm from hell. I don't know what that is, and I probably don't want to know either. Luke, I help out Dad with gardening and fixing stuff sometimes. Lots of dexterity, strength at work. I'm surprised he hasn't had hand problems from his days as a fix-all teenager looking for money. Okay, yeah, that does sound like hard work. I'm probably going to be doing some gardening the next week as well. And something that really fucks my hands up is pulling weeds. That one hurts, and my fingertips are sore as... Yeah, let's leave it at that. They're very sore. What Harry think he is? Harry, did you use Google Translate or did you just listen to me? Maybe our knowledge is reaching critical mass and we are ready to become the teachers. Yes. So, yeah, if anyone wants to be a guest on the live stream, then you're more than welcome. If you have something interesting to say, send me an email and we could make a topic of that on the live stream. Speaking of which, actually, I am discussing that next on Thursday, my time. So most of you guys on Wednesday evening, I suppose. I'm releasing the last video I made with Nick about exercise. And he will probably come on one of my live streams and we'll just talk about exercise on that live stream. And you guys can just ask him whatever questions you have, because what he's talking about is a different concept of training, which isn't that usual. So there might be some questions there, especially for you guys that like training and, very sports specific training, how you could incorporate that into that sort of training and if it's worth doing, etc. So there might be some questions that you want to ask him. So I thought, he might be interested in coming on. And he also likes being on my channel because he thinks that what he's doing is really important and he wants to get the reach and get out there. And I know my channel isn't huge, but at least it's out there and he's reaching maybe a few hundred new people, which is always a good thing. Mandy, thank you, Pim, for your time once again. So appreciate and so helpful. Keep safe. See you soon. Weighted blanket, Pim. Fantastic. Please research. Yes, I have been thinking about that. That would be pretty nice. Someone else said like sleep on sheepskin, and I can just imagine how wonderful that would be. So maybe I'll try the sheepskin in winter. I'm not sure I could stand it right now because it's very, very hot at night. And as you say, I can't sleep without something on me, so a weighted blanket would probably be even better. But it gets very hot. Luke, I feel like I'm too synced with my rather recent indigenous ancestry. My body reacts strongly to sun and temperature changes to regulate sleep. Yeah, okay. This is actually interesting because I've had I started getting it yesterday, but the day before when it was really hot, I had a headache from mid-afternoon, and in the evening, all of a sudden just snapped and pretty much went into, can we say, a light migraine, because I think I managed to stop it before that. So I didn't sleep well because I can't sleep when I have a headache, and I just popped a lot of pills, and I was sleeping sitting that night because laying down when I have a headache is not a good idea. It just gets a lot worse. So I am heat sensitive. Usually when I'm talking about getting migraine from heat, usually it's because I'm having a hot bath or something like that. But now it's just been a bit warm. Today's going to be 29 degrees. We'll see how I cope with that. I might have to put an ice helmet on or something. Welsh Bogan, since giving up carbs, I sleep much better. Still not perfect, but better. Also, what I thought was back pain was actually indigestion from eating too much too late, I think. Okay, that's interesting. What I can tell you from my experience with carbs and sleep is that when I'm eating a lot of carbs, obviously when you eat a lot of carbs, you will also retain a lot more water. So what I tend to do is that I tend to need a wee at night when I'm eating a lot of carbs. Since I went keto many years ago, I'm pretty much very rarely going up for a wee in the middle of the night. Usually I do that if I'm having a cup of tea or something before bed. I know that is a pretty bad idea, but I'm trying to avoid it. Sometimes I'm just really thirsty though, and I'll drink a lot of water before, and that might not be great, but yeah, that's one of the things that have helped me sleep a lot better. Just that I can actually sleep through the night. And also I do need less sleep. I need a lot more sleep when I'm eating carbohydrates. I'm waking up, I'm much more tired. And that's kind of what I'm looking for. I guess that has to do with sleep quality, but at the time I didn't really know how to check it. So I think that is a general trend that when people go on a low carb diet of some sort, they do sleep a lot better. The quality of sleep is getting better. They need less sleep. With regards to the back pain being indigestion, could be. I haven't really heard about it and I haven't experienced it myself, but it's entirely possible. So that's interesting. How much do people sleep has improved on carnivore? I feel like it would help me. Yeah. For me, I don't as I said, it's no difference doing carnivore or, semi-carnivore as I'm doing it, or keto. I'm sleeping and needing as much sleep on whatever. As long as I'm low in carbs, it doesn't seem to matter to me. Sleep quality seems to be okay for the most time, unless I'm majorly stressed or the dogs or someone else is waking me up. So when that someone else is having problems sleeping and tossing and turning all night, I'm sleeping terribly. But if that someone else is sleeping well, then I usually don't have a problem anymore. So I used to suffer from terrible insomnia, really, really bad. And that pretty much went away as well when I went low carb. I have it every now and then, but not very often. Inga mer frågor, as in no more questions. No, his second language is like bullshit. So that's different. This is very interesting. On the tangent here, how are dreams affected by low carb? I have lucid dreams often. I don't know. As I said, REM sleep is when you're dreaming a lot. And I told you that my REM sleep is too low for what would be ideal. Since I got my Aura ring, it's told me that basically one night out of all the nights, I've had enough of it. I very, very rarely remember dreaming at all. And when I do, it's usually when I'm kind of semi-awake and I'm just about falling asleep again and having weird thoughts. So I wish I had more lucid dreams. It's usually interesting stuff going on there. Interesting but weird. But you and Harry's suggestion about eating window while working second shift is working 3 pounds down. Oh my god, Shell. Is that just from shifting your eating pattern and not so much the actual amount of food that you're eating? Because that is quite significant. Was it last week or the week before that we were talking about that? That's really, really good. I'm really happy for you. Yes, I'm looking forward to the next stuff. He's cool. Thanks, Pim. You're welcome. I can't remember what for, but that's fine. What second language is cursory? He's actually word recognized in that field. Yeah, okay, maybe that's his second language. Maybe bullshit is his third. My dreams are much more vivid on low carb. Sometimes that's good, sometimes it's not. Okay, that's cool. I think we have voted that cursory is his second language. That's fine. Fatnado, that's a great question. I haven't been aware of having any dreams since I went carnivore. I have many question marks attached to this topic. Yeah. Okay, I'm in your camp. And another thing, Fatnado, I know that you are also a cold person. Maybe it has to do with our body temperature. We're just going into coma or something. Here we got another one. Very vivid dreams, and I was vegetarian until 3 months ago. Always had them. Okay. I think we're just different as well. So, but obviously your sleeping pattern and your dream pattern, I suppose, could change. Okay, sleep is better on carnivore compared to keto, right? Well, that's good for you. I wish I had like a degree that I could move towards. Maybe I have to do some more almost scientific experimentation on myself, but I would probably need a bedroom without dogs or partners to be able to assess that properly. Luke, I'm such a noob. I'm a dirty omnivore that eats 2 kilos of food daily, and I love to follow carnivore channels and interact with the community. I will join the train soon, promise. Uni is in the way. Aha. A dirty omnivore. Fair enough. Still eating carbs. I hope you mean carbs, because carbs is not digestible. It's probably not a good idea. And sweets, slowly cutting down. Yes, that's good. sometimes we just need to go slow. We can't just do everything at once. Not everyone can do that, and it might be a more gentle way of getting your whole intestinal tract adjusted to what you need to do if you do it slowly, and over time you won't get results as quickly, but hopefully you won't get any complications or side effects from changing very rapidly. So it might be a very good idea to do that. So I just hit my microphone there. I think shrooms and DMT may be screwing with my dream system. Okay. Well, I need some shrooms and DMT because I need to dream, but if that is fucking your dreams up so you don't have any, then maybe it's not a good idea. But wakeful dreams. I slept for 9 hours yesterday. It's either feast or famine with me. Okay. I wish I could sleep 9 hours. The only time I can sleep like 9-10 hours is if I got the flu or something like that and I'm totally down. Then it's like someone's pushing the off button and it's the best sleep I ever had. I feel so great doing that. It sounds strange because I'm obviously very ill, but it feels so good to sleep that long. It feels like I've never ever managed to sleep as long as I need to. I just wake up before I feel like I'm finished with sleeping, which is a little bit annoying. I have a friend who's fixated a lot on dream exploration. The other day he questioned me if carnivore could affect dreams, so I'm looking for people's stories. Well, it seems to be a little bit, inconclusive. Some people get more of it, some get less. Had to come say that my lucid dream has gone up quite a bit since I dropped all nonsense carbs. Okay, there you go. Back to the reindeer. Hormones definitely affect dreams. Okay. In what way? Dahlia, what makes you say that? So is that in terms of your hormonal cycle, or is it something else that you're assessing that on? Have you done some testing, or let me know what you have found, in what way they affect it. So, Shell, yes, that's a shift in eating, not what I'm eating. It was last week that we were discussing it. So you dropped all that weight in 1 week by just shifting the timing of your food. That's like, I don't know what to say. That's amazing. It's really, really cool. I might have to be really strict 1 week and just eat, let's say, breakfast and lunch, and then stop. At the moment, I'm doing that some days I'm eating later. So for me, it's kind of different on different days. Carnivore helped me sleep, fasting for the past 3 days, and had dreams for the first time in a while, likely just correlation. The brain will you can't say fuck, can't you? With you when you give up an addiction, whether it be sugar or drugs, so maybe that's why they have lucid dreams. Fair enough, yeah. Crazy dreams when you stop smoking. Well, I've never tried that, so I wouldn't know, but yeah, absolutely. I need to sleep a lot. I'm still catching up from years of breastfeeding at night. Babies definitely mess up your sleep. Yep. That's a known fact and not one we want to experience necessarily. It's an amazing experience to come into full consciousness in a dream. I have some amazingly mystical experiences that have added to my life experience. I'm jealous. I would like to do that, but I can't even dream, or I don't even know that I'm dreaming. I'm sure I am dreaming. I know I'm dreaming, but yeah, that would be so cool. I would like to be a dream walker. That was super cool. 2 p.m. to 6 p.m. is my eating window. No snacking. Sweet. That's good. That's really good. A scary experience sometimes, but you meet and learn to respect your shadow self. Jung was right. Yeah, it sounds super cool. So if someone could actually teach me that, that would be super cool. Shelley, did you use patches to give up smoking as the nicotine patches gave me really lucid dreams? All right. Okay. We see what she says. Pim with an Y. Is it bad if I feel like I have to eat so much just to maintain weight? It's very easy in a stressful situation for me to lose interest in food and lose 2 kilos in 1 month. Okay, so you're eating 2 kilos a day, I think you said, and you're a dirty omnivore. So what sort of weight are you losing? Because you really shouldn't be losing muscle mass that easily, for example. I think you're saying that you're losing interest in food if you're feeling stressed. And I mean, that's the way it goes for some people. Some people it goes the other way. Could you, increase the fat intake with the protein, for example, and that way get the volume down? So bad if you're an omnivore and there's a lot of carbohydrates, probably. If it's just, meat and fat, etc., still a lot of food. I don't think you would be eating 2 kilos of meat, I hope. But I have a feeling that you're exercising quite a lot as well. So, yeah, I don't know what to say to that. It's not necessarily bad. It depends on what sort of food you're eating. And if you're eating 2 kilos of, farmed pork high in omega-6s, then that's probably going to be very inflammatory for you as well. Or, if you're just eating feedlot beef as well, it's probably not going to be ideal, even if you were going carnivore. So if you're eating a lot of food in general, the food quality is becoming even more important, because the amount of toxins, the absolute amount of toxins or bad things like high omega-6s, etc., is going to get much worse than if you were eating a little bit of it. You can practice certain things to encourage lucidity. Don't you say lucidity? Oh, anyway, I'm sure you can. What should I practice? Let me know. Harry says, quit smoking 18 years ago and had some nightmares as well, so it wasn't only me in those post 3 weeks. Okay. I haven't, I'm just told you that I barely dream, so I haven't experienced that quitting sugar or anything myself, but that's very interesting. Seems to be a theme. Yes, most people do have the opposite problem. So what happens is, when nervous, I can undereat like 500 calories per day. I mean, when you're nervous, what is happening is that obviously you get a lot of stress hormones like adrenaline and cortisol, and or epinephrine, if you like, which kind of increases your metabolism. So you will probably use a lot more energy, and then your body is in a fight and flight mode. So that means that you are on edge and you are ready to run away. So you're not going to be wanting to eat. And when you want to eat and relax, then your body is in a different state, or should be anyway. If you're eating anyway, which many people do because they are addicted to these foods and used to doing it, then you're not going to be, metabolizing it efficiently, and that's why some people can lose weight on it and some people can put weight on. Okay, stick the patches on your eyes, you can't find your cigs. Yeah, very good advice. I think everyone should listen to Stefan. When cold turkey panic attack, went to Dr. For Chantix's online support group did the trick. Cool. Life-changing mystical experiences. Yeah. I mean, without saying anything, I did in my youth. Try a few things, most things just once, because I'm an experimenter, as you know, and some things were very interesting, but I'm also like being safe, so a lot of the time I might not have got the response that I necessarily would have. But some of the things that I experienced kind of it does widen your mind a bit and make you see things differently. And for me, totally in a good way. I've never had a bad experience with such things, and as long as it's safe and I know, it's not going to hurt me, that I really do like such things. I haven't done anything in many, many, many years because I'm old and boring, but still, I find such things very interesting. Uh, Brazilian diets. Tons of rice and beans. I eat about 2.5 to 3 kilo meat per week, including ocean fish. Good. Okay. So, Luke, are you from Brazil? Uh, So we all react differently to stress. I tend to ignore my body's needs, which is why I hate romance now. Too easy to go wrong and keeps me in a spiral of sickness. Funny. Don't give up on romance relationships. Don't give up on that. It can be pretty cool. Omega-6 conventional chicken is healthier than most relationships. Too much trauma for me. Luke, you need to do some mental work, I think, and have a look at things from a less emotional perspective, perhaps. Okay, start a dream diary by your bed. Just write a few notes, whatever you remember every time you wake. This seeds cognition, especially note any repetitive dreams and repeat all day. Next time I dream that. Okay, so yes, I could absolutely do that, but that dream diary might be empty for like 3 months before I actually remember anything. But okay, I will get a little notebook and I will put it there and I will see if I actually do dream anything. Maybe just because I know it's there, maybe I will wake up and being half unconscious and just wake myself up properly and write it down rather than go back to sleep and forget about it. It could be something like that. I am Pim, a Brazilian fan. Cool. I know a couple of people in Brazil. Where do you live? It's a very beautiful country, and I would love to go there. But then your crime rates are quite appalling as well. So I'm a bit and I don't speak Portuguese, so that would be hard to do. Mita, I will know I'm dreaming. Then one day you will say it in your dream, and bang, the lights come on figuratively. Cool. Okay. Yeah, I will absolutely try it. I don't have too much hopes on it, but if I'm not trying, I'm definitely not going to get there. So, dream diary it is. You're right on the mental work, though I can't see when I'll get around to it. No. Okay. You should have joined me earlier when I was doing Zoom chats every month for my membership site because I could have been coaching you. That would have been cool. But I'm not doing that anymore. I don't have time. Sorry. Stefan, I did go through a phase when I could totally control what I was dreaming about. That's so cool. I'm kind of scared to go to Brazil. Me too. But Jimmy, have you seen like the photos of their beaches and stuff that they have there? I also have a guy at work who's from Brazil, and he's like, yeah, you have like the bar and the beach, and it's super cool. Not that I drink, but it's awesome. It looks beautiful. So that would be super nice. I had a funny conversation about traveling to Brazil with a dude who used to live in Rwanda during the genocides. For him, going to Brazil is a walk in the park. He's not worried one bit. Yeah, I guess everything is, you know, depending on what you're used to. So most of you know that I'm Swedish from the beginning, and Sweden's kind of, you know, in general, quite safe and yeah, I don't know, you wouldn't really worry about anything. Then I was in the UK for about 10 years and I still had the same I had the same attitude, but what I noticed was that things like people have to drop the kids off at school and the kids are not allowed to go home on their own. They're not allowed to be released unless they have an approved adult coming and picking them up, for example. So a lot of those weird kind of things going on there, but I don't think it's unsafe in the UK. And now I'm in New Zealand and I feel quite safe as well. It's not like you have to lock your doors and have a security system around your house or anything. And it's quite safe to, you know, travel. And if I'm on the beach, I could leave my stuff on my towel or whatever and go for a swim. And most likely it will be there when I come back. I wouldn't necessarily leave my phone there and in plain sight because someone might be tempted, but it's not, you know, the risk of getting mugged isn't massive. Luca, I live currently in Paulo for studying purposes. Yeah, but I'm from a lovely small city 2 hours away with rural backgrounds. That sounds nice. I would like that. For all people interested, avoid the most famous spots. I find it funny how large touristic cities are the crime spots. My birth city is quite safe, but people do need to watch this stuff. Yeah. Yeah, I think that if I go to Brazil, probably be, you know, I have to ask people like you or other people I know from Brazil or in Brazil where to go because I wouldn't necessarily want to go to the big cities for that reason. And plus, I like to see the real country and not what tourism is doing to it. Pim, are the claims the violence against women in Sweden exaggerated? I keep hearing about it. Are we getting brainwashed for some reason? So I find this quite interesting. So as far I mean, I know a lot of people in Sweden. I don't have a single friend, female friend, that has been, you know, abused that I know of, unless that has changed because I've been in Sweden much the last 12 years or so. I think that at some point so I don't know if they're saying that Sweden is like the top country or very far up on the list of um, women being raped, etc. But I think that one part of that is that in Sweden, women are very much liberated and they don't see themselves as inferior to men or whatever. So we are probably a lot more likely to go to the police and report anything that actually is happening. We're not going to be suppressed and just keep that for ourselves. So the report rate is probably much higher than in many other countries, I think. So, I mean, obviously it is happening, otherwise it wouldn't be reported. But you know, if it's actual numbers, you know, if you were looking at the actual rate, is it worse than other countries? I mean, I can't tell you, but I don't think so. What I do know is that I don't know anyone that's actually been through anything like that personally. I'm not sure I even heard about a friend's friend being through that. So I don't know. Maybe I'm just naive. I can't tell you. Uh, you're safe here in Wales. Just watch out for angry sheep that have the rug stolen off their backs by insomniacs. Yes. Okay, that's fair enough. It's not just in Sweden, no. Yeah, report rate. Yeah, that's what I think anyway. I mean, I can't tell you for sure, but I don't think anyone can. Pim, I saw some people saying there's no actual evidence that seed oils are inflammatory. Is this a case where we have good hunch but not any actual strict science yet? Mm, no, I do think we have quite a lot of evidence that seed oils are inflammatory. I'm not sure who said that there wasn't, but even the more popular, pop science sort of magazines, etc., are actually now talking about canola oil, for example, being inflammatory. So that is a very good start. They still don't kind of extend it that much, but the thing that I actually do talk about it now, and that is something that a magazine that is usually more traditional, following the guidelines, etc., start talking about the inflammatory effects and why we shouldn't be eating things like canola oil is a good sign. So when they are doing it, you can be sure that there is a lot of evidence for it. So yeah, there is evidence for that. And whoever says that, I don't know where they got that from. Right, so not all adorable sheepies. Shapes are genuine pissed off all over. Okay, I didn't know that. I don't know enough sheep, and I live in New Zealand. Might have to go out and pet some and see what they do. Okay, so Harry, love those commercials. I'm not sure what commercials they are. And that was the last comment. Oh, here we go again. What's your thoughts on red palm oil? As a fat, I think red palm oil is fine, as in the fat composition is good, but they usually farm it from areas where you have like orangutans living, so they're destroying their habitats, and with that, obviously, the orangutans. So if you're going to use red palm oil, make sure that it's actually ethically sourced. So there are better brands than others, but just, check it. I don't generally recommend eating it for the simple reason that we don't always know. And unfortunately, everyone wants to make money. So if you're getting an unethically sourced red palm oil, somewhere along the line, someone might throw in a little label saying that it's ethically sourced, even though it isn't. However careful you are, you can't ever be 100% sure that it's actually the truth. So I'm more against it for the reason that we are basically destroying the habitat for the orangutans, etc., rather than for health reasons. Yes, Luca, who said that, mate? Do you have a name of this crackpot? Heaps of science on it. Yeah. The guy saying that seemed sketchy for me. There's this Instagram, I think it's Food Science Babe. So he calling himself Food Science Babe? I'm gonna write this down. Just check out. And he calls people chemophobic for lots of things. He was denying omega-6 information. So yeah, I had this strange guy on making a comment on one of my videos saying that we can't break down dietary fats and they just go through our bodies, but at the same time they're supposedly dangerous because they get oxidized and they can affect us negatively. So that seemed like cognitive dissonance to me, but I'm wondering if he's coming from that side as well, because it's very, very strange. Okay, so that was with no evidence for. Yeah, okay. As Harry said, heaps of evidence against that, so I don't. But I'm gonna check it out. Food Babe. Okay, Certo is a mattress company. They have sheep as their logo. Nice. Okay, so that herself as food skeptic, but sees no problem with cereals and seed oils. Okay, very interesting. Maybe I have to do a video why food science babe is wrong. Yes, it's the she. Cool. Vani Harry. She's pretty insane. Okay. Never heard of, but yeah. Some people are just, I don't even know where they get this shit from and how they can, if they actually believe it, and how they can sit and say such things when they don't have any support for what they're saying. It makes you wonder where it comes from. Who makes that shit up? Chemophobic, that sounds about as ridiculous as blaming someone for being bullet phobic. Okay, so it's not the same thing. Food science, babe. Yeah, I wrote it down right. There is a lot of crackpottery out there, clearly, and it doesn't make any sense. I'm just wondering where it comes from. Very, very strange. Yes. Me and Harry are gonna check him out. Maybe we have to do a video together. Thanks, Luke. Yeah, it's all good. 1 kilo reindeer later, one is ready for the Barch stream, just in case Nanks is eating a steak again. I'm not sure Nanks is there today. I think it will be Troy and what's her name? She's pretty fit, a 52-year-old mama. Said with a Bart accent. Crackpottery of the highest order. Yeah, I can't even do his accent. Angus burgers to eat during Bart stream. Yeah, good idea. Get your food in, Luke. We don't want to make you lose weight. So now, actually, we're getting close to 2 hours, and I thought, 1 hour and 15 minutes, or whatever it was, we were running out of questions, but you were picking up, and that's cool. So I think we might just try to wrap it up here, give you a 5-10 minute break before Bart's stream if you're going there, and give you a chance to go and fetch your pillows if you're going to be sleep listening, drooling, whatever you're doing when you are watching the live stream. Yes. Quick question spam. Go on. And monk mode can't eat because he wants to hit 120 hours fasted. That's all good. Just, you don't have to eat. Just have a nice glass of water. Go on, Fapnada. Give me your question. I know there's a delay on when you're typing and when I'm actually talking. So we're just waiting for Fapnado's questions. So all of you just watch your time here. Fapnado, wake up. Just kidding. I'm so mean. Meanwhile, me too. I've been comparing chuck steak all the way through this. It's been a delicious stream. Oh, chomping. I can't read. What the fuck's wrong with me? Skinny look is bad. I can't lose hard-earned lean mass. I look much better today. Yep, that's good. You're just taking cravings in and deal with them. You can do it. Of course you can. He's a fasting expert. Stefan, got to go. You're awesome, Pim. See you next time. That's awesome. By the way, I haven't been spamming about this, but if you do have too much money and you want to be generous, that is the link to share your wealth with me if that's what you want to do. If not, it's all good. Just thought I would say that because you are awesome. Now I've lost the chat because I did that. Oh, okay. Fapnada meant that everyone asks questions so the stream doesn't end. I have nothing. Okay, never mind then. Run out of brain matter. That's fine. Okay, so we don't have to wait for you. Thanks for the stream. Thanks for being here. I do appreciate you all. It's super cool. If you have any topics that you want me to bring up on the live stream or otherwise in just a video, let me know and I will write it down on my lips. See, I can't even talk. On my list. And I will hopefully address that, and especially if there was another area of sleep that you wanted me to talk about, I'm happy to do that as well. Look, Pim, do you know anything about the negatives of Brazil nuts? They have lots of minerals, but also some anti-nutrients. Yes, that is correct. Also, Brazil nuts are one of the heaviest contaminated with toxic mold, usually. So if you're going to eat Brazil nuts and you are happy to deal with anti-nutrients, then get them in their shells, open them yourself. Don't buy them in, already shelled, packed in bags. It's not a good idea. Thank you, Shell. Thanks, Osma. And bye, Harry, says Stefan. Stefan, no bye, Pim? Or did I miss that? Yes, selenium. Exactly that my point. Moldy nuts, no thank you. Yeah, I've had that as well. Brazil nuts, they don't look moldy, but then you eat them. Some of them really taste like mold and it's horrible, and then you just know that they've been in contact with other moldy nuts. So be careful with that. Yeah, off you go to have a snooze with Bart. And shit, I eat one every other day. Yeah, so just go and get them shelled ones. Get a nutcracker and eat one of those every day if you really want to eat them. Okay, Harry, go to Harry's live stream later today, 1 p.m., which will be, I don't even know, how many hours? 6 hours or something like that, maybe? No. 5 hours. 4 hours. I don't even know. So you said it was 7. You're about 2 hours behind me, so that would be 3 p.m. here. So that's 4 hours. Bye, Stefan. Bye, Monk Mode. Shelled nuts. Good point. Okay, thank you so much for being here. Awesome to have you here as usual. And I will see you again next Sunday, where I think I already know what I'm going to talk about. And it will probably be a follow-up to the Thursday video with Nick. So I might be talking about why you should be doing exercise for insulin resistance. Something along those lines. Don't shell me. No, we won't shell you, Shell. Because you are doing awesome with your weight loss now. No shelling. Bye, Pim. Bye, everyone. Thanks a lot for streams. Such a shame you don't coach anymore, Pim. I do coach, but not for free on there. If you do want coaching, then send me an email and let me know what you want, etc. And we can see what we can do about that. Yeah, so that's super cool. And yeah. Let's stop with that. Shell F, the shelled nut. Yes. Shell is awesome. So are you guys. So 2 minutes to go. If you're still here, I think you should be leaving. Get your food, get a pillow, and go and look at or watch or listen to Bart's live stream. Thank you so much. I will see you next week. Bye.